What's going on, y'all? Your man Eric Wilson in for the Sports Arena, and it is Wild Card Weekend. So, I get the opportunity to talk to a lot of great people. Just want to get their thoughts and opinions on how they feel about this weekend's matchups. We got six really, I would say, great games on the card because in one hand, you have a game where actually in two games, you have where a former player is going back to a team that where he kind of made his name at. You got two teams on Monday night that are just going to break my heart one way or the other, which I will get to that in a moment. But my guest today, she is the co-host of the Blonde Blitz and a media caster for PSF Pro Sports Fans. Miss Deb Whitkiss is in the building joining me here. How are you, Deb? What's going on?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm excited for this weekend's matchups. I needed an opportunity to talk to as many people because, listen, right now, these games on tap are looking like they could be probably some odds on great wild card weekend games.
Yep.
But some just have such a very interesting dynamic about them.
Agreed.
So, and thank you for taking time to be on the show today. I kind of just wanted to jump right in. I see you got your red or your orange on over there. So, I mean, are you from the Cleveland area? Because that is, our first matchup here. It is Cleveland versus Houston. And really quick, I mean, let's think about this. It's Joe Flacco, not Deshaun Watson, going up against CJ Stroud.
Wow. Yes. All I have to say, first of all, I picked out CJ Stroud from the get. I saw him at the Combine, and I was like, that is your guy. Was really excited when he went to the Texans. Obviously, they were in a rebuilding stage. They're now in the playoffs. I could not be more excited for the Texans. I'm excited for the Browns as well, all my Browns fans. I'm a Joe Flacco fan. I'm from South Jersey. That's where he is from. And I'm actually an Eagles fan, but we'll get to that later because that's
we will. Yes,
that is a whole other issue there. No, love some Joe Flacco. I saw him when he was in for he played the Rams, and he did a great job with that game. The Rams did win, but not by much. And it's great to see Joe Flacco, 38 years old, QB, tearing it up. Really, as far as Cleveland is concerned, I think their defense is one of the best in the NFL. I thought they were doomed without Deshaun Watson, and when they found Flacco and signed him, obviously we're seeing a whole other team. He's led the Browns to a 4-1 record over his last 5 starts. He's thrown for 300 yards and obviously multiple touchdowns in his last 4 games. But then they're against CJ Stroud and the Texans. CJ was just named Offensive Player of the Week for Week 18. I think he personally has the Rookie of the Year locked up. We'll see what happens there.
I think Puka Nacua might have something to say about that. That is my only thing. I would agree with you and say, listen, based on what that whole entire organization, we didn't think they were going to be much ado about nothing this year. And what DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud and that entire team have just put together to be able to not only get to the postseason, but in a division where you have Trevor Lawrence, in a division where you have, a Jonathan Taylor for Indianapolis. You also have, the Tennessee Titans with King Henry. It's like, who would have ever imagined that CJ Stroud would be the guy that we'd be talking about come January? I do think I agree with you. He probably will win Rookie of the Year, but Puka Nacua, and we'll talk about the Rams a little later. Absolutely. I just feel like it's the 1-1A. If either one of those guys gets it, I'm not going to be mad.
I agree with you, and I love me some Puka Nacua as well. I've been following him all season, and he actually on the Blonde Blitz we do a segment called our Ken, and he was my Ken this last week because he just made history for the Rams or for the NFL in general. And we can talk about that when we get to the Rams, but I think it's going to be a good game. I just picked my brackets. I have Houston winning this one. I'm going Houston 23, Browns 21. But on my I do 2 brackets. On my second one, I actually have the Browns winning because you just can't get this. This season has been so unbelievably so many upsets, and you're not quite sure what you're going to get. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Houston on my real bracket, and then Browns on my heart bracket. So that's what I have done right now.
I need to create those. My real bracket versus my heart bracket. Yeah. My whole thing is this: Myles Garrett has been just a very consistent player this entire season, and been the reason why, the Browns have been in games, they've been very close in games, and even have won some games. Whether it had been Deshaun Watson, whether it had been DRT, or whether it was now, in fact, Joe Flacco, the one constant we could say was Myles Garrett. If he doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year, I'd be very curious to see who they put above him based on what he was able to do. My thing is this: I want CJ Stroud to come out there and just continually be not only the consummate professional, but have that swagger about him. I just don't know if the experience of Myles Garrett is going to be too much for him, because, on that defensive front, you're always looking to see where he's at. And it doesn't matter what side he's coming from. So like you, I guess if I'm going to go with my real bracket, it's going to be the Browns. But I will say, if CJ has the ball last and can drive them down the field, then I would be wrong and be like, okay, this game has so much potential, and it's the first game of Wild Card Weekend, that I'm just like, this is how you're starting us off. They are going to set the bar for everybody else. And speaking of setting the bar, can we go to our next matchup? And clearly this one, I know the NFL is looking into possibly changing something around it just because of the 4-degree weather. But again, you've got Tua and the Dolphins heading to Arrowhead to face Mahomes. Tyreek Hill going back to Arrowhead in a playoff game. Now, Miami's a team that they are truly a roller coaster. One minute they're putting up 70, the next minute they can't score 20. They get 56 dropped on them by Baltimore.
Yep.
And this is whether Tyreek's on the field or not on the field. Achane, the running back, where did he come from? I have no clue where this young man came from. You've got Tyreek, you've got Jalen Waddle. Then you flip it over to the defensive side. We barely saw Jalen Ramsey on the field this year. But when he was there, guys just didn't throw to him. And Kansas City, over the last couple of weeks, just has not looked like Kansas City.
Not even close. I mean, they're in a wild card game.
Right.
They won the Super Bowl last year. I mean, last year at the Super Bowl, if you would have ever told me that KC was going to be a wild card this weekend, I would have laughed in your face.
Completely agree.
Here we are.
Right. But when you look at this matchup and you look at not only what both teams can do offensively, but then Steve Spagnuolo is just a defensive genius.
Yes.
And as someone who has had to deal with his type of defenses, as we both have, dealing when he was with the New York Giants, it's like, I don't know if these guys really want to see what Chris Jones and these boys have, but I'm loving to wait to hear from you about this matchup.
I mean, it's going to be a good game. And like you said, the Dolphins have been a roller coaster. Kansas City's lacking in the wide receiver core. And I mean, Travis Kelce can't do it all. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? He can't be all over that field. He's getting older. I mean, Dolphins are coming off of a 21-14 loss against the Buffalo Bills last week. The Chiefs are coming off of a 13-12 win. I'll say that again because they normally are more of a blowout than that against the Chargers. I mean, KC is favored by 3.5. I would love to see Mike McDaniels and Tua win this game. I want it for Tua. He went through so much last year with, the concussions and had such a rough season. But I don't know. I feel like the Super Bowl hangover might be a little real too. But I am going to go KC on this game. I'm saying 27-21. So, wow. But I'm not going to be shocked if the Dolphins take it either. I mean, I think it's just not look like KC, like you said.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a shootout because we know at any given time, and the playoffs are a different animal, and we love saying styles make fights. So when I look at both offenses, I'm saying to myself, I know that Patrick Mahomes, whether it be Pacheco, whether it be Travis, or whether it be another player who has yet to be named, he will make things happen. We've seen him do it over
and we've seen
and
it
over. Yeah.
We
Now,
saw him win the Super Bowl last year with, Eagles were up and, obviously Casey came from behind and won the game. But yeah, no, you never put Mahomes on the back burner. Never put him down. Never, he's of the, obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, if not the best. And also Andy Reid. I mean, let's talk about him too.
Yeah.
Never put him, behind the 8 ball either.
Listen, Big Red is going to do some amazing things. We already know that he's a Hall of Fame coach. He will be a Hall of Fame coach when he finally decides to step away from the game. What I am looking at with this whole entire matchup is which defense is going to cause the turnover. Because I think once we see that, whether it be Chris Jones, whether it be L'Jarius Sneed, whether it be Justin Reed, or whether it is, like I said, Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard, Christian Wilkins, once someone makes that turnover, I think it's going to turn the tide of that game. We always say, well, what was the turning point? What was the reason why it went from one way to the other? I'll flip a coin with this one, because the one thing I know is Tua to Tyreek. That TNT matchup is, it's gone. If Tyreek is open, the ball is coming down and he's taking it to the house.
Absolutely.
And if he gives a peace sign to one of his former defensive players, it's so.
And by the way, I love Tyreek. I actually interviewed him at the Pro Bowl last year. Nice guy, great football player. I was extremely excited to get that interview. So just had to give a shout out.
No, hold my beer, because I was at an Adidas party last year in Arizona and I met Tua. Same thing.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Great guy. One of my boys is a huge Tua fan, so we did a quick shout out for him on social media.
Love it.
And so I mean, listen, we both have had that privilege.
Yeah.
I'm gonna side with Kansas City only because I just can't do it. Not with Andy Reid, not with Patrick Mahomes, and not with Travis. Those three guys, I just can't do it. Like I said, plus Spagnuolo's defense. But if Miami finds a way to pull this one out, the storylines are going to be off the charts, because the basement, since Patrick Mahomes has come into the league, has been the AFC Championship game his entire starting career. For them to go, and still they're hosting a home playoff game, but it's during Wild Card Weekend, something that's never happened.
Like, this is a first for them.
Yeah.
In a while.
Let's talk about the cold weather matchup here. And this one,
it is going to be cold.
Steelers against the Buffalo Bills. The Steelers, Mike Tomlin, 17 consecutive seasons, and not a losing record. And he's doing it with Mason Rudolph, not with Kenny Pickett, not with Duck Hodges. He's doing this with Mason Rudolph. And I believe Minkah Fitzpatrick is expected to play.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good. No, I was going to say, so this is a funny story. I'm dropping names here, but so my old roommate is Mason Rudolph's best friend. Which is wild, because who knew? I just interviewed this guy to be my roommate, and I was like, I like you. And then all of a sudden he's like watching football, or he's on the phone one day, and I'm like, who are you talking to? And he's like, Mason, my friend Mason. I was like, cool. And he goes, yeah, Mason Rudolph. I go, excuse me? Wait, what? Yeah. So Mason comes out and spends his off season in Malibu, California. So I am obviously a Mason Rudolph fan. I think he should have gotten a shot way before he has. I'm excited that, he's done so well in the last couple games. I think he's actually saved Mike Tomlin's job, because I think, if the Steelers weren't in the playoffs, I think Tomlin's job would have been on the line last Monday with everyone else's. But we'll see. I mean, the Bills are on a hot streak. They've won their last 5 games. middle of the season, I was like, what happened to the Bills? Like the wheels are falling off. I had the Bills from preseason to win the Super Bowl. So I was really upset that, they were not performing up to par, and now they're back in, and obviously in the wild card, but they're hot right now. And I mean, Steelers are doing great, but I feel like they kind of did sneak into the playoffs. They've won their last 3 games though. But, the Bills are 10-point favorites on this one. I hate to say it, but I feel like the Bills are going to win this. I have 32-20.
Ooh, 30-20. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, Sean McDermott, the one thing I will say about him, he came from the Jim Johnson, the late great Jim Johnson's tree, and just knows schemes.
Yep.
Actually, interesting stat, he can join the Hall of Famer Mark Levy as Buffalo's only head coach ever with 5+ playoff wins if they're successful on Saturday. I saw Josh Allen. Speaking of combines, I saw Josh Allen at his combine.
Oh, wow.
I was there when he threw the bomb down Lucas Oil Stadium. And, you've been to the combine. So when you're there, you have to remain quiet. You have to remain like whisper tones. When he threw that ball, there was just a blanket of everybody holding their breath.
Yep. Yeah. It actually happened this combine with Anthony Richardson. He threw the ball, and the entire stadium was like, whoa!
Yeah.
Like, it was beautiful. It was like music to my ears. It was a dance. It was amazing. So I know.
So I know. No. So I know what he's capable of. But again, we always go back to 80% of their offense is predicated on him. It's predicated on Josh Allen.
And that's true.
If he doesn't find Stephon or and thank God they got a run game.
Yes.
Dalvin Cook's younger brother, they got a run game now. So, and I've always said that has been one of the missing ingredients. But their defense is where they are plagued because they've been hit by so many injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just looking at that and I'm like, can Mason Rudolph capitalize on Buffalo's defense not being at a full strength? Like you, I've got Buffalo in this one. I've got them in a closer game. I've got them in like a, 31-28 type game. I just don't see, with everything that you mentioned about Tomlin and the fact that, as you put it, Mason Rudolph saved his job. I just feel like they have to do something in order to ensure. Yeah. And I think going into Orchard Park and beating a team that was an odds-on favorite to not only win the division, to get to the AFC Championship game and potentially make their way to Vegas, if Pittsburgh were to come in and do that miraculous thing, I think that would then catapult not only the stock of Mason Rudolph, but it would reaffirm how good of a coach Mike Tomlin is. But like I said, I got Buffalo 31-28 on this one. And let's hope for the best, but I'm damn sure prepared for the worst. When we switch over to,
it could be an upset, but we'll see.
Yeah. When we switch over to the NFC, I'm going to be very clear when I say this. And as someone who is a fellow Eagles fan, you will appreciate this. Jordan Love, I need you to do what you have. Just do the unthinkable.
Yes.
I need you to go into Jerry World and beat the Cowboys, a team that has not been beaten at home this year. Dallas is undefeated at Jerry World.
That is true.
Can they do it? Deb, can they do it?
I'm praying that they do it with everything I have. I love me some Jordan Love. That very first game Jordan Love was playing, he killed it the first game of the season. And I was like, apparently this is what happens when you back up Aaron Rodgers for the last 3 years. I was like, he's my new favorite quarterback. Let's do this. And obviously, Dak Prescott. I'm an Eagles fan. So I don't want to say I don't like Dak, but
it's not that we don't like Dak. We just don't like the team.
Don't want the team to win, right? And honestly, Dak has had an MVP season. He's a great quarterback, to be honest. But I also love Michael Parsons. But this is going to be a tough one. Green Bay closed their regular season on a 3-game winning streak. Dallas has lost back-to-back road games against the Bills and the Dolphins, but they bounced back with wins over the Lions and the Commanders to wrap up, a season. Cowboys, they're seeking their first Super Bowl win since 1996.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. Their first Super Bowl win since 1996. To be honest, I mean, Dak always seems to choke. Dallas always seems to choke. Not sure if this is the game they choke on, but they're favored by 7.5. I unfortunately have to go Dallas 27, Green Bay 21, but I would be beyond excited if Green Bay pulled this one off.
Oh, listen,
Pull this upset off.
me and every other Eagles fan out there would be
Yeah.
loving if Jordan Love was to, like I said, Dallas having the momentum right now,
Right.
being able to say we have a home playoff game, at least one, and then they got to go somewhere else. But here's the difference, because you brought up Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was usually the guy that sent Dallas home.
Right.
You know, last year it was the 49ers. But actually last year it was Dak himself. But after they beat Tampa Bay, which I still don't even understand. But besides that point, it's now they actually have a legitimate shot. And again, I'm very much like you. I have no ill will towards the players on that team. I just don't like the team in general. For Dak, knowing that he has Tony Pollard as his back, who is going to carry the load, he somehow remembered, oh, I do have another wide receiver outside of CeeDee Lamb in Brandon Cooks. And we know what that defense can do. Listen, I am not a DeMarcus Lawrence fan by any stretch of the imagination. But not having Trayvon Diggs, they have Stephon Gilmore, and then Micah Parsons is just Micah Parsons. I've watched him from Penn State, now watching him in Dallas. I was so mad when he went to Dallas. I was like, you could have went to any other team.
But you go there.
He likes the colors blue and gray. I don't know. But again, with my head, I'm going to say yes, Dallas pulls off this victory. With my heart, I'm saying Jordan Love, if there was ever Aaron Jones, Matt LaFleur, if there was ever a moment that I would ask anything, like, please find a way. I don't care what you have, just find a way.
Do it now.
Because
this is it.
This is it. This is your moment. Stand up, show out, do the whole thing. All right, here we go.
They do always seem to choke. Do you think they'll choke on this one, or do you think it'll be?
No, I think it'll be as scary as it sounds. I think it'll be if they play whenever they play San Fran.
Exactly, and that's actually my bracket. I have that. I have San Fran beating Dallas. So
yeah. Here's one that's going to be a bit of a tearjerker for you, because Matthew Stafford is returning to Ford Field to face his former team in a playoff game. This isn't just a regular
first
season
one in
game.
30 years.
I know. The Detroit Lions, who I knew last year that this team was on the come up. Yep. And then this year, what they've been able to do with Amon-Ra St. Brown, of course, Jared Goff. I mean, Dan Campbell has this whole entire team from start to finish, drinking the Kool-Aid, running through walls, and biting kneecaps. That's the way it's been. But Sean McVay is just that guy. And a lot of people are saying right now, the Rams are the team you don't want to play right now. Now, being out there in LA, talk to me about what you're hearing from that and what you expect to see with this matchup.
You know what? The Rams get hot when they should. And that's kind of been their reputation for the last couple of years. They get, obviously Super Bowl year, then they had a bad year, but they're getting hot at the right time. I agree with you. Like we talked about with Puka Nacua. I'm going to go up to my notes because I know he had a great so he broke 2 NFL rookie records. He's the new leader in both receptions and receiving yards. He surpassed Jalen Waddle's record of 104 receptions and Bill Roman's record of 1,473 receiving yards. That record stood for 60 years. So Puka's doing an amazing job here. I'm excited to see Stafford back at his home field. When that whole trade went down, it was interesting because it was like, Goff went from the Rams to the Lions. Stafford went from the Lions to the Rams. And I kind of was like, am I the only one here who's not understanding this trade? Like, I feel like they were on the same level as far as quarterbacks were concerned. And everyone was like, no, Deb, Stafford's so much better. And I was like, okay. And then, of course, they won a Super Bowl or close to that year. So I was like, okay. But now I'm excited to see, Goff as well in the playoffs. So I don't know. I mean, this one is. I think I'm the most excited for this game. Yeah, even the Eagles and Buccaneers. I No, I want the Lions to win this for my Detroit fans because it has been so long. But my LA fans, I think LA is going to take it. I'm going Rams 27, Lions 24.
Oh, well, we are exactly the same on score, but different on the pick. I say
Interesting. Okay.
27-24, but it's going to be the Lions. Like I said,
Okay.
I have watched this team. You go back to the beginning of now 2 regular seasons ago. The very first matchup was Philadelphia versus Detroit in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
While other teams, and I've said this before, while other teams were trying to establish an identity of who they are and what they were about, Detroit from week 1 of the 2022-2023 season knew who they were and gave Philly everything they had. And it came down to a last-second field goal, 38-35. But at that point, I said to myself, this is the team that people are going to need to pay attention to. And now, fast forward to where we are today.
Yep.
Like you said, it's been 30 years since they have had a playoff game, home playoff game. They won the division, something which this was a team at one point was 0-16.
Yep.
Could barely skate on wins, always found a way to lose it in the end or screw something up. Like people will say, oh, the curses were real. And now Jared Goff. No, again, I completely agree. But now everybody's like, they're paying it. I'm like, listen, I knew something about them. Like I said, 27-24. I just think that Detroit maintains this momentum and they just ride it in. Shamelessly, of course, being a Philly guy, they are always my pick to go to the Super Bowl. But I will say, if I was going to be unbiased, Detroit looks like they could be that team. That everybody says dark horse because San Fran is San Fran. But not surprising if we see Detroit in the NFC Championship game.
Yep.
The last matchup is the one that, of course, we got to talk about. It is the Philadelphia Eagles who are coming to Tampa to face the Bucks. Oh, I don't even know.
We both went, oh.
I don't even know what to say except, losers 5 of the last 6. Yeah. Jalen's middle finger is busted. AJ Brown didn't practice.
Hurts has barely practiced. He hasn't thrown a ball.
Right. So listen. I've talked to several Eagle fans who are very close to me, and everybody said the same thing. They're not winning Monday night. I'm like, how can you call yourself a fan if you're going to sit there and tell me we're not going to win Monday night?
I get it. But
Thank you. Like, we're going into a week 3 Monday Night Football rematch. This was reminiscent of week 3. 2-0 teams on Monday night, the last game of week 3, and Philly went into Tampa. And granted, the first half wasn't great, but then they started rattling off points, and it was like, okay, this is the team that everybody expects them to be. Barring injury, barring health issues, I got to know from a fellow Eagles fan what's going to happen or what needs to happen for us to go on to the divisional round.
I mean, I feel like the Eagles are the best when they go back to the basics. And I feel like that's what has to happen in this game. They have to go with the run game. That's what Jalen is, their specialty has been. When they click, they're a force, and we need a force Monday night. I really like Baker Mayfield in Tampa. I've said it all season. They're the best team in the NFC South. Who would have thought they would be playing the Eagles, to be honest? But I thought the Eagles would have the NFC East locked up and not be playing in the wild card. But here we are. The Eagles better win this. I think the defense. Obviously, the defense has to hold. There's been problems with the defense all season. I think that comes from the play calling. I feel like the DC, everyone's texting me being like, do you think Sirianni's done? And I'm like, actually, I don't. I think that the DC might be gone, and Brian Johnson also, might be losing his job, but we'll see. And we'll see more on Monday night. They have got to win this game.
Listen, I just bought tickets to that game. And let me just I bought tickets to the game. These tickets were, I'll just put affordable, which I find very interesting for a playoff game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, granted, yes, I'm sitting
How
in the
much were
nosebleed
they?
section, but I think everybody who is coming to this game is bringing that cold 50-degree outdoor Philly weather to Raymond James Stadium. So, yes, I'm sitting in nosebleed, but I am
You're there.
excited
Yeah.
because everybody who has said to me, we're not winning. I said, don't none of y'all talk to me on Tuesday after we win. I said, I don't want to hear nothing from y'all but 4 simple words. Eric, you were right. That's all I want to hear. Don't say nothing else to me, because win, lose, or draw, I am forever an Eagles fan. I had someone actually question my loyalty today, and I almost lost my mind.
Wow.
I was like, you're going to question me, the guy who everybody knows. If there's one team I cheer for every single football Sunday, it is Philadelphia.
Mhm.
It's that, and of course, whoever's playing Dallas. But more importantly, it's our team. And I'm just like,
Right.
it's one of those where I have had faith in this team at our highest of highs and our lowest of lows. But to your point, whether it's Sean Desai, whether it's Matt Patricia, whether it's Brian Johnson, whether it is the head coach, Nick Sirianni, somebody has got to remind this team who they are.
Exactly.
Because it has not been seen in the last 5 losses. We barely skated away on Christmas against the Giants. And I'm like, they put 2 quarterbacks in. They put Tommy Cutlets and Tyrod Taylor in there, and we were still able to pull out a victory. Yeah. But listen,
to be honest, I've been saying it all season. This isn't the Super Bowl team that was last year.
Right.
You know, and I saw it in the first game. And they clicked a little bit more, but to have them kind of falling apart as they have in the last couple of games, I just hope they get it together. I think they will. I think that their passion and them wanting this just to prove, like, they're underdog. They're now underdogs, and they love that. They feed off of that underdog mentality, and I hope it brings them to win this game and to push forward. As long as they stay with their, the basics and be the Eagles, they're going to win it.
Right. Completely agree. All right. That is going to do it for us. Deb, do me a favor. Tell my audience where they can follow you, where they can find you, so we can support and help you just grow who you are and your brand.
Appreciate it. At Sport Report Deb on IG and Twitter. Also check out the Blonde Blitz podcast on YouTube, as well as the Fantasy Sports Corporation YouTube channel. Also on Pro Sports Fans, the PSF app. I'm a media caster for them, and I cover this. I have a show called The Steagles there, where I cover Philly as well as the Steelers. So we'll be doing that on Sunday live for you before the games. And that's basically where you can find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Definitely, let's not make this the last time. We're either going to be drowning in our sorrows Monday night, or we're going to be popping bottles because we know we got back to the fundamentals. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, like she said, co-host of the Blonde Blitz, media caster for the Pro Sports Fan, Miss Deb Whitkiss, thank you so much. Much love. We'll definitely talk soon.
Yes, absolutely. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Fly, Eagles, fly. Talk to y'all. Peace.